Okay, good morning, everybody. Hope most of you are excited to learn about landed because of late, I just did this lesson maybe a few months ago, but there's been a lot of requests, especially a lot of you, I understand, probably not even with us today yet, but incoming next year. So a lot of, I think a landed training, right, is of special interest because it covers a new spectrum for many agents. And of course, a lot of people see that landed, the challenge in landed properties, selling the sale of landed, I guess the challenge for many people that what they face is that there's more undercutting. Then there are big names out there. As soon as you list your property, the property is actually, sorry, can somebody off the volume? I can hear myself. Okay, so the property is actually gets undercut disturbed by other agents and things like that. And then what happens is that most of the times you end up having a listing but not being able to move it. No buyers call you and things like that. Okay, so the purpose of today is I want to cover everything about landed. So for those of you who, show of hand, how many of you been to this training more than once? Many, right? Okay. More than twice? Still have. Okay. One thing I want to let you know that don't worry, because from the last training till today, there's new stuff being added in. So you just wait for it. Okay. But for the benefit of the rest of you, I'm going through really from the basics. So if those things that you know already, just listen in, just confirm what you know. Okay. Next. Okay. So objectives of today's training. Number one is know why SRI today, we are one of the leaders in terms of landed property sales. Okay, so the number of landed property transactions, if we actually look at the number of transactions versus the number of our transactions, we command around just slightly under 10% of the transactions, okay, in all various districts. So if you go and speak to owners, especially those owners who are in the market, right, they would have heard of SRI or they've seen some sort of branding somewhere, which helps you when you're doing your landed sales, okay? I also want to talk about the basic rules and etiquettes to adhere to. Okay, so this, I think a couple of things. Yes, landed homes is easier to reach the owner. Okay, so similarly, for us, for landed, we have a certain rule and regulation when you do landed. Like for example, even other landed agencies as well, other groups who are doing landed, we have a similar, at least etiquette, which is, of course, you view with the agent. Okay, you don't go and knock on the door. Okay, then sometimes you don't go and say that, hey, because why you undercut my listing? Okay, and when maybe you just listed, agent go and knock on your door. Then you say, hey, why you undercut my listing? Because but the agent didn't know about the listing through you, correct? So then can the agent actually go and knock on the door? The answer is yes. So if that is that good listing, you get exclusive for it. Okay, so don't worry. I mean, the thing is that door knocking is very normal. And then when you call the agent and say, hey, why you knock on my door? There's nothing wrong, right? He can be door-to-door knocking, he can be farming, right? So only when is it constituted that he actually undercut you is obviously when he came to view with you once already, then he go and knock on the door. Now, that is something that's wrong. Okay, then of course within SRI, okay, obviously because a lot of us are in the landed segment already. So is there a chance that you end up knocking your colleague's listing? Even for myself, when I knock on the door, sometimes I don't even know that there's actually one colleague who is actually marketing. Okay, so obviously if it's an open listing, everybody is free to do. It's take it that everybody is on its own because there are few groups out there. Later on, my last slide, I will go through all the known players of the landed market because it's very good to know your competition, know how they operate as well. Okay, but when you knock on the doors and if it's an open list, meaning that there are few SRI agents marketing, can you knock? The answer is yes. But if you know about this listing directly from me, for example, one of the agent write in, hey, this is the landed listing, and you go and ask what's the unit number. Then after they give you a unit number, of course you don't go and knock the door after that. So this is some basic respect within the agents. Of course, another thing is when you knock, and then people see that, hey, you're from SRI, I already have this SRI agent marketing. Okay, then do something very, very polite and say, oh, we are, yes, no doubt we're from the same agency, but we're working separately. So can I market our unit as well? Something, make it very, very clear cut that, hey, I'm not working. If not, we don't want misunderstanding where in the end say, oh yeah, we are the same. Then after, because of that, he bring you in also. And then later on, the other lister says, hey, what happened? How come you suddenly can say I'm related? So you make it very clear. So we have at least a common understanding even before you start into landed. Because last thing you want is conflicts internally when our competition is actually outside. It's not within our own agency. Okay, I will go through the basic fundamentals of landed home sales. Let you all recognize the potential of landed in Singapore as well, and know what are the landed tools available to SRI realtors. Okay, learn how to identify redevelopment opportunities. Like sometimes you see a plot of land, hey, can I do this? Can I build into multiple units of semi-D? Can I build into a condo? Can I build an apartment? These are the things I go through. Then grabs the redevelopment guidelines as well. So this gets a little bit dry, a little bit complex, but this is just really to give you some knowledge, such that when you talk to owners, you've heard about it before, you know roughly how it works. If you need more details, you can always give me a call or give some of our landed guys a call, and then they can actually get you involved as well. Okay, especially when there's things where you need redevelopment or in terms of financing and things like that, we can actually go through separately. Okay. So different types of landed homes in Singapore. Okay, there's this, these are all the different types. So one is intermediate terrace. So intermediate terrace, what it's like is that it's essentially a landed home that has a wall on both sides. Okay, that means you are squashed in between a few houses. So that's an intermediate terrace. So obviously a corner terrace, what I mean is that in a row of more than 2 houses, that means 3 or more houses stuck together and you're at the corner. So if you have 2 houses stuck together only, that is not a corner terrace. Okay, that is a semi-D. Okay, so semi-D obviously is 2 houses sharing 1 common wall. That is a semi-D. Then you have link bungalows. Link bungalows, what is it? Essentially, this is a term that's used very loosely. Okay, a place where you can actually find a lot of link bungalows is Wharton Estate. Okay, the reason why is because how this term link bungalow come about is because they are bungalow-sized land. That means they can be 4,300 square feet and above. Okay, later I'll go through the sizing as well. And what happened is that, but because of the frontage maybe and things like that, they share a common wall. So people always use this term link bungalows. What is a link bungalow? Is essentially a semi-D. Same. Okay. Then detached bungalow, is there any difference? The answer is no, there's no difference. Detached or bungalow, they are the same. So they are a standalone unit. All 4 walls belong to them. They don't share a wall with anybody. Okay. Then you have good class bungalows. So good class bungalows are in the various zone areas as good class bungalows. Okay, one thing about good class bungalows is that sometimes you see undersized good class bungalows. Okay, means what happened? In good class bungalow areas, for a good class bungalow to be a good class bungalow, it has to be at least 15,000 plus square feet. Okay, so sometimes there are 10,000 square feet bungalows in a GCB area. What are these? Are these GCBs? The answer is not a GCB. Okay, you must make it very clearly that it's a bungalow in a GCB-A, because if not, it's a, what happens? You actually misread. Okay. The other thing, next, we have cluster terrace, okay, and cluster bungalows. So are these considered landed? Okay, my take is that it's not considered landed. It's a hybrid. Why? Because you know foreigners can't buy landed properties, right, without approval. Foreigners also cannot buy cluster terraces and cluster bungalows unless they are in a condominium complex, right? However, having said this as well, cluster terrace and cluster bungalow, do they own the land? They also don't own the land. They need to pay a maintenance fee. So this is pretty much a hybrid. If you ask me whether it's a landed property, I would say it's probably closer to a condo. It's probably closer to a strata, a condo kind of concept more than a landed. Okay, so one thing you notice, most people who are looking for very specifically for landed properties, then sometimes the cluster houses, when people market it, the PSL look very cheap. Wow, only 600 per square feet freehold and things like that. But actually they're counting on the build-up area, not on the land area. Okay, so some pictures. So bungalow detached, as I mentioned. Okay, no, all 4 walls, you see, oops. How can I draw my screen? Okay, so no drawing today, can't draw my screen. Okay, so bungalow, as I mentioned, no, all 4 walls, nothing attached. Okay, for semi-detached link bungalows, essentially is something like this, where you see these are actually 2 houses sharing a common wall. Okay. Wait, I still prefer to draw, so let me see why I can't draw. Yes, okay, good. I can draw my screen now. Okay, next, terrace houses. So terrace house, very simply, you look, it's just 1 house and you have walls on both sides. Okay, so this is a terrace house. And cluster house is very simple. It's essentially a gated community, right? I think most of you will know already, cluster house. So next, go into components of and value of landed property. So one thing about landed property as compared with condos is that there are two components. For condos, it's very simple. When you want to get a valuation, you want valuation from the banks. What you just have to do is that, maybe the sale, 689 square feet, which floor, okay, I want a valuation. However, for landed property, it's slightly different because there are many components in place. So there's the land size and the build-up, okay? And when you talk about per square feet price, so sometimes when owners ask you, when buyers ask you, hey, how much is it per square feet? Okay, you don't go and do something basically very novice by telling them, oh, it's only 600 plus per square feet or something like that. Because what happened? A lot of them, they end up dividing by the build-up area. So remember, for landed property, when they ask you for the per square feet price, it's always based on the land size, not the build-up size. Okay? And when you send out for a request for bank valuation, okay, you must be very specific on the items you put out. So type of housing is important because inter-terrace and corner terrace will have a generally lower value than a semi-detached. Why? Because of class. They sign at 8. Semi-D is better than a corner terrace. Although the land size may be the same, you also have one side that is stuck to the wall and one side that's open. Essentially, they feel that semi-D is a bit more atas. Okay, so that's why semi-D is worth higher. So you got to let them know whether it's an inter-terrace, a corner terrace, a semi-D, or a bungalow. You need to let them know the location of the property, okay, land and built-up area. Okay, then subsequently the age of the house, because age of house also matters. Because a brand new house will hold a certain premium, right? A new build will hold a certain premium. The older houses, after a good 10 years, 15 years, is really based on the land value, correct? Then next, how many stories? Okay, so be very clear whether it's 1 story, 1.5 story, 2 story, 2.5. Later, I'll let you know how to find out what's the difference between a 3 story and a 2.5 story. Okay, and the tenure. So tenure can be your 99 years leasehold, your 999 years, or freehold. Okay, so when we see ads in the papers, okay, we always see 2 numbers instead of 1 number. Okay, we always see the for example, this one, bungalow, 6,000 to 4,005. This simply means that the first number is always the land size. Okay, don't swap it around, because you swap it around, you may end up having a lot of costs and people scold you and they say, hey, you don't even do landed, you don't know that. You swap it around, it becomes either very cheap or very expensive, right? Depending on the land size and build up. So very importantly, first number always the land, which is the more important figure. Second number is the built up. Okay. Okay, next. Show this picture many times, but okay, this picture, essentially, if you look at it, what does it look like? It looks like a 3-story, right? Because you have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, but essentially, this is actually not a 3-story house. This is actually a 2.5 story. Okay, how can you tell? Okay, based on the old regulations, okay, the newer houses maybe next time become even more difficult to tell. Next time you really need to refer to master plan. But based on the old regulations, okay, where the roof ends determines how many stories it is. So you actually look at this, where does the roof ends? Why is there a pitch roof that ends here? Why didn't they just do a straight roof and at least maximize the area? There's obviously a reason why, because they have to build a 2.5 story. So sometimes when you go into master plan and then you go to landed housing development, which later I will show you, you can always see, oh, sometimes buyers ask you, oh, this single story, what can I build? Can I build 3.5 story? Can I build 2.5 story? So obviously you do not know and you don't want to go refer your phone, hey, I do not know. You just take a quick glance around, right? You look at the new houses. So you look at the new houses, then you see, hey, how many stories they build up to. Then generally that is a very quick guide. But obviously if you want something that's more solid, what you do is, of course, you go to the master plan. Okay, so from this you can tell, oh, now next time you understand, oh, why some places the roof like that. It's not a design feature, it's so that they can comply with the regulations. Okay, a 3-story is essentially the roof on both sides. You cannot see where it ends. So it's basically a flat roof. It can be a flat roof. Both sides end the same 3 stories, and then it's a 3-story house. Okay. Next, talk a little bit more about landed property. I think one thing is that for landed property and for condos, running all the way up to year 2001, 2002, it was pretty much, the pricing is pretty much in tandem with private residential. That means but condos. Okay, but after a while, people realize the value of land. And that's when, from then onwards, 2002 onwards, it actually took its own life cycle. So, and it really zoomed off. That means it really, in terms of price, the property price index, landed property balloon up because people realized the value of land. Okay. Also, what happened with this is that there was a lot of changes in terms of plot ratio changes. So some landed owners became overnight boom town. Why? Because the land got rezoned into a condominium land. Then subsequently, the plot ratio went higher and things like that. So a lot of people became, a lot of bungalow owners, especially like in Kent Hill, all this, or even not even the bungalow, the terrace houses owners, they overnight became super millionaires because why? They increased the plot ratio to maybe 2.7, 2.9. Okay, and so what happened is that their land is worth a lot more than. So what happened with this is that people then realize the value of land. So I think for investors, when we talk to your owners, especially sometimes people ask you, hey, should I buy a landed? The answer is yes, because why? Land is scarce in Singapore, supply and demand theory. One thing you notice lately, a lot of GCBs have been moving, right? Okay, so the thing about this is that why? Because the foreigners, when they come in and then they get their citizenship, landed homes is only is a privilege for Singaporeans to buy, right? So what happens is that more and more people buy, and when you notice that when people buy a landed home, okay, the kind of size that they appreciate, you ask them to move back to a condo is very tough. The only time people downgrade from landed to condo is maybe all the kids move out, they're growing old, then of course they have challenge that, oh, I have a problem with the stairs and things like that. But today it's actually very easy. So even later I'll go into the details on, sometimes one of the objections we all face is that with lift. Go in and then say, wow, I need a lift. Then especially now it become a very normal thing. When you walk in landed, have lift or not. So later on, actually almost every house can install a lift. So later I'll go through the details and how much it actually costs. So next time you know who to call, how much to roughly quote as well for somebody who wants to add a lift into a house. Okay. Then of course I mentioned you are investing in a tangible asset. Okay, you are actually buying land instead of airspace. Okay, condos, yeah, that's essentially buying airspace, right? So essentially, when you need more condo units next time, of course, the government say, hey, land is scarce. Very easy. Why? They really want to have more units. What they do? They increase the plot ratio of every single condo. Everyone get en bloc bill even higher, right? So effectively, you buy a condo, you're just buying airspace. For us as agents, why landed? I feel that the barrier of entry is very easy, meaning that it's only a gate separating you and the potential seller. As compared with condos, if you want to find out the unit, you have to go and based on the agent's ad, you won't even know which floor is it exactly at. Correct? You probably have to go and figure out and go and snoop around, and then after that find out which floor before you can even contact the owners. But for landed property, it's so easy because it's just one doorbell, one gate, and maybe one dog, right? So that's it. So it's very easy to enter. However, of course, it's easy for you to enter. It's easy for others to enter as well, right? It's so easy to contact your owner. You list out a property with the image of the house, outside the house, guarantee tomorrow somebody knock on the door. Okay, 100%, right? So next, also, I think for us, one thing about land, why I like landed property is because that's when the salesmanship come into play. Okay, you can have two landed houses side by side, and they can sell for 500,000, $500,000, even 1 million difference. Okay, why? Because no house is the same. Every single plot is different. Okay, different plots have different attributes. For example, if you go along Siglap Road, there are some Siglap Road houses at the back, you got unblocked view. But some, if you go further down, it actually slopes down a little bit. You don't have a view behind. So just that alone can command a $500,000 difference. Correct? So every plot, so it really depends on the agent more than the. So for condos, one thing about condos I find is that very easy. If let's say a property on a 10th floor is asking for 1 million, and you have a listing on the 11th floor, and the owner wants 1.2 million. The buyer, of course, is not stupid, right? He'll probably, even no matter how much renovations, he will still take the lower price unit, and then he'll go and renovate himself. For landed, you can have two plots, okay? And they are asking 500,000 difference. Is it possible? It's still possible. Okay, so this is one thing I like about landed, where I feel that the different perceived value based on the selling point that you bring out as a realtor, it actually adds value to the property. So sometimes some units on the market have been in the market for so long, and then another agent comes in, a good agent comes in, takes over, he actually sells it. Why? Because he's able to convince the buyer that, hey, this is worth this value. Okay. Next, I also like landed because it's a greater potential for networking. A lot of people you meet out there, if they generally, although it's a bit of stereotyping, but when you meet them, if they own landed property, chances are they have businesses, they have other businesses and other landed houses. They are more of the investor grade people who have potential to even refinance their house, take the money and buy another property in trust and things like that. So this gives you a lot more options when you deal with this clientele. Then of course the bigger quantum. I mean, if you look at the freehold landed property today, even the minimum price for really, really small freehold property today is about 2 million. Even with 2 million, you can hardly find anything. Okay, so there's a minimum quantum, and it actually goes up quite significantly. Most landed houses are around the 4 million range, $4-5 million range. Okay, so you do a sale, even with co-broking on the worst case scenario, also there's at least a $20,000 comp. Okay, so for landed properties, what are the selling points? What are the negative points? I think it's good to know, because if at least you know, then when you walk in, you straight away can profile the landed property. Is this a good plot? What are the objections? What are the challenges you're going to face when you market this landed house? Okay, so selling points, of course, condition of house, a nicer condition, moving condition, renovated condition, brand new house. All this will play a part in selling the house. Next, north-south facing. I think it's the same for condo as well. North-south facing, because essentially you don't get the west sun and things like that. But just remember, at the end of the day, right, if you are a detached house, okay, you cannot say no west sun, because why? All four walls belong to you. You are definitely going to have the west sun. Okay, so obviously in a terrace house, if your front door is facing north and your back is south, you have two walls beside you, of course you don't get the west sun. Then semi-D, of course, the preferred is where you build a semi-D and essentially the west sun is on the side of your shed wall. Then you don't get the west sun. So obviously these are good points. Next, elevated ground. So people obviously they like to be high rather than low. There are some landed property you drive by and then they are below ground level. Maybe when you look in, it's already the half floor of the house. Okay, so some people like higher ground than lower ground. Regular plot. This is also selling point. Regular plot meaning squarish, rectangle. Okay, these are regular plots. Irregular plots are like triangle, trapezium. Sometimes when you look for a landed property for your client, you see, wow, how come per square feet so low? Okay, usually when you see something that is too good to be true, of course it's too good to be true. Okay, so essentially regular plot, squarish, all this will play a part in terms of the value. Quiet, okay, quiet also plays a part. If let's say you are inside a landed estate, very quiet, versus a place that is next to the main road expressway, these are downsides. So these are all selling points. Okay, facing greenery and park. This is another selling point. Why? Because most of the times when you go landed housing, behind you normally face somebody else's kitchen, right? In front, you face another house, correct? So this is the norm. Something that's very special is in front, no house, unblocked view, okay? Or park, okay? Unblocked view may not be a good thing, because why? If the worst thing is that you have an empty plot of land, but it's zoned as a condominium land, right? Then hey, next time got construction here and you have this kind of objections. Okay, but of course if you're facing a park, zone as a park, then you know it's a park for sure. Okay, home lift. This is a selling point as well. I think with home lift, what happens is that you can say that, hey, this house you can stay until you get old, whatever, cannot walk, also your wheelchair can go in. Correct? So this is a selling point. Okay, and the unblocked front and rear, as I mentioned, facing greenery park. Then house number, of course, plays a part as well. I think house number is 3, 6, 9, 8, all these numbers. So objections, condition of house, west sun, T-junction. Okay, a lot of people don't like Chong Law, where they say buy Chong Law. After that, wow, your family also break up, your business also go down. Okay, so T-junction, obviously this is a thing, but how to counter T-junction? T-junction, how to counter? We just say it's unblocked. Your front is actually unblocked. So actually T-junction houses, right, is the most breezy because its front is unblocked. So you actually get the breeze. Okay. West sun, I think like condominium units, how we counter is that at least you don't have mold. Okay, and then west sun generally, if the architect is smart, usually you put the toilets more to the west sun side, things like that, and the kitchen. Okay, then facing factory, places of worship, kindergarten, cemetery, all these are all common objections. Okay, so obviously if you spot a common objection, one thing you need to do is in your mind at least prepare a counter to the objection. So when you walk in and the client sees, hey, this unit is facing a cemetery, then after at least say, oh, but it's a nice park, a lot of kids playing in the evening and things like that. So at least you say, and then they feel a little bit more comforted. Okay. Next to main road expressway. Okay, this one obviously a lot of people do not like it. However, some people like it. Why? Because it is convenience. And surprisingly, I can tell you, when I even market main road property, you cannot say, hey, next to main road not sellable, because the fact of the matter is there are transactions. It's just that there are lesser number of people looking for it, so it's more difficult to sell. So for main road property, generally you need a longer exclusive period to sell. Okay, but there are people looking for it because why? There are some people surprised. That time one person came down, viewed property. After that, on a quiet street, he says, "Wow, too quiet. I scared of ghosts. I prefer to be near the main road." Yeah, people like this. Or sometimes people like the convenience because they have elderly parents. They want them conveniently to be able to get the bus stop, things like that. So we have even sold properties. There a bus stop in front. Wow, everything is the worst of the worst. Main road, bus stop in front. But they really love the convenience. The kids can just go out, take the bus outside, and just come back in. So there's always a buyer for every single landed property. Okay? Low ground. As mentioned, low ground, some people don't like it, right? They say bad feng shui be low ground. Okay? Then long driveway. So long driveway is those irregular plots. So you have a long driveway, the house is actually set inside. However, having said this as well, some people like long driveway plots. Myself, I also don't mind getting a long driveway plot because why? There's privacy. You should drive in, very quiet, not on the road, just set back. Then subsequently, you have your own space and things like that. So nobody knows what is hidden inside. So you can build a very nice house. You don't have to show it to everybody, but inside is a hidden gem. A lot of good class bungalows, long driveways are very, very nice houses inside that nobody can actually see from outside. Okay, odd shaped land. So odd shaped land, of course, this is one of the challenges, especially if it's really like triangle and things like that. But a good architect, if people with character, they like odd shaped land because it let them be a bit creative what they can do with the odd shaped land. So odd shaped land, sometimes when people have trouble selling, one thing you can do is you can get in touch with one of the architects to do a layout, floor plan, proposal, some kind of concept on how to sell it. Okay, then house number, of course, this can be a challenge as well. Okay, so essentially the landed realtor sales cycle is very simple. Okay, where do you start? I think the easiest way to start is by building up your inventory, which is very easy. Build inventory, of course, offhand today, if you really want to build up inventory, how? You call, you know pretty much quite a lot of units for sale. Today, if most agents call me, ask me for the unit number, I will usually just give it to them directly. Okay, I know a lot of people are very secretive and things like that. But the fact of the matter is that if the agent really wanted to find out your unit, 1,001 ways, right? I can ask my mother, go for viewing with you, right? And then will you show her 10, 20 properties, waste 2 or 3 days of your time? The answer is yes, you will. Okay, so do I hide the unit number? There's no need to hide. What I do is I prevent if a good landed listing, what I always do is I will pitch for the exclusive. I will get whatever methods I use, I will get the exclusive. Okay, then I will inform the owner that tomorrow so and so is going to knock on your door. Tomorrow real estate going to knock on your door, whatever. So you mention to them upfront, hey, this is going to be a problem. So when they actually knock on the door, they say, yeah, see, I knew you're going to knock. My agent really tell me you're going to knock on the door. And tell me my price low, all these kind of things. I should sell higher, all these kind of things. But they really build a wall. You don't build a wall for them. When people get the bullet through already, then after that, let's say you never tell the owner beforehand that somebody's going to tell you a price too low, knock on the door. Tomorrow, when somebody knock on the door, I have a buyer and things like that, they may actually entertain. And then in the end later, when she call you and say, hey, why people say I can sell this price? Why my neighbor, he said, hey, one neighbor here sold 1 million higher than the price you offer me, but actually it's brand new, right? But she doesn't know. So what happens is that when she confront you that time, it's different, right? Like if let's say today you tell your wife, hey, I'm going out for dinner with this pretty girl. Then you already tell her, right? Versus what happens is that you have dinner with a pretty girl, then people tell your wife that, hey, I saw Bruce having dinner with a pretty girl. How? Which one better? It's the same concept. Okay, so you actually prep your seller that this is going to happen. Okay. Next goes into market lead generation. So we do marketing. So for lender, it's very, very important to do marketing to bring in the leads. Okay, and then subsequently, you do matching. Very simple. It's like you have one whole list of buyer leads. When you have a new listing that come in, sometimes you don't even need to market it. You don't even need to market it, and what happens? You do a matching, you're able to find a buyer based on your inventory. Okay, and subsequently it goes in closing. One thing about lender, one thing I like is that usually when lender buyers, they're not really restricted to one particular area. Okay, most of them are happy to move around to nearby districts. Okay, so this is one of the things you can play around with. Then of course, I'll go into how to build up inventory. So building up inventory, consistent farming of flyers. Okay, whether you have new listings, the main thing about doing a landed is that you need to find a base. You cannot say, I want to do I want to do district 65. It's not possible, right? You have to have a core focus somewhere and then move out slightly to an area that complement. Because if let's say you work everywhere, the challenge you'll face is that you go out and then people know just all the listing within that district. For you, you know a bits and pieces here and there. So basically, you are not you're basically not a landed realtor that is very, very good in one area that every month you consistently do the area, you closings in the area versus running around, always losing out the clients to everybody else. Okay, so consistent farming of flyer is very important because every time people receive new listing, they know about it. You sold a listing, also can throw flyer. So why? Because when homeowners saw, hey, wow, you just sold, okay, and they keep on seeing you around the area, they recognize you. When they want to sell, first person they call obviously is you, right? And then you do open house in the area. You every time when you farm, that time you walk around, you see them, they keep on seeing you, and they recognize you. Okay, well, after a while, you become a brand name. And most of the time is that if a buyer who comes to the area and always sees you around the area, then more likely, buyers are very simple. They like to work with agents who are experienced in the area. At least they don't want to lose out that, oh, I do not know this landed is for sale. Correct? So obviously, if you are in the area, you know everything for sale, they just deal with you. Okay? So similarly to condos, for landed houses, you can also buy caveats. You can buy caveats, and you essentially have the contact numbers and things like cold calling from caveats, home base as well. Home base, very simple, you can call. Of course, you do your standard checks, DNC and things like that. Okay. Next, one of the opportunities is for building under construction. Okay, this is a very big opportunity because why? These are units, okay, unless of course they're built for own stay. These are units with motivated sellers because they are, if they are developers, they are builders, they buy the land obviously is to build and sell and make money, right? So one thing very good is that how do I find the owners of this BUC? Okay, one thing, go to the board. Go to the board and see who's the developer owner and what's the telephone number. Okay, obviously sometimes there's the board is there, but no name, or have name, no number. Then if there's a name there, and usually it's a company name or developer name, okay, what you can do is that you can buy the ACRA, buy the ACRA, and you can actually see who are the owners as well. Okay, then you can either go there and find them and things like that. Or you can just simply call the number and say, hey, I'm Bruce. Hi, I'm Bruce from SRI. I was in the estate with my buyer. Okay, and we chance across your development at this unit. Is it for sale? And can I have the price and the floor plan? Okay, it's very simple. Just ask them a price and floor plan. They give it to you. And subsequently, there will be, chances are there won't be a developer who say that, hey, I don't want to sell. It's not possible. Okay, so because now what happened is that last time maybe the developers would buy and then they hold and things like that. But now because of the 3-year timeline, they have to sell within 3 years. So most developers are motivated to sell. So it's very easy. This one alone, let's say you decide that, hey, I want to do Teluk Kurau. Drive around Teluk Kurau, take pictures of all these whiteboards, go home, consolidate. Offhand, one day you have at least 3, 4, 5 listings already. Okay, so it's something that's very, very fast. So door knocking, okay. So this is the thing. There are a lot of times we see on Facebook, hey, people go landed door knocking and things like that. The answer, let me tell you, don't waste your time. Okay, don't waste your time door knocking aimlessly or randomly. Hey, say today, wow, I'm going to conquer the whole of Serangoon Garden in 1 month. Every day, I'm going to knock 2, 3 streets. Okay, so one thing about door knocking is that we want to have targeted door knocking. Okay, let other people, every time I see Facebook, you have certain groups, I don't want to say who, go out, wow, they're very enthusiastic, they go out door knocking. Maybe this happens for HDB as well, right? So they go and door knock very enthusiastically. So properties that are not in the market, okay, and you speak to the owner, because you have you're very, very smooth talker, you're able to talk them into selling. But if they are not motivated to sell, essentially you may end up wasting your time. And when sellers come in the market, they say, okay, I can get this price, then I sell. So what happens? You may end up spending a lot of time and effort on a seller who is not motivated. Okay, or even worse, you spend the first 3 months of your exclusive because you are the first to knock on the door, first to get the listing, you sign the exclusive, everything, but at a very high price. But within that 3 months of exclusive, you spend all your money and effort to convince the owner that the price is not doable. Then only for people like me after that to come and knock on the door. And because you already spent the effort convincing the owner that, hey, this price cannot be done, I will come in and offer a decent, doable price and close the unit, right? So when you do door knocking, it has to be very targeted. You know that this unit is in the market. This unit is for sale. Okay, maybe you are in the area and you actually do, let's say, you do sort of treasure hunting. What treasure hunting? Later I'll show you as well. And you know that, hey, this unit is for sale. Then we very, very targeted. We just go and knock this door in particular. Okay. Then of course, asking neighbor for leads. If you are always in the area, sometimes the owner, the uncle, the maid can even tell you which unit is for sale because they always see agents going to the unit. Okay, so no harm knocking on the door and say hi, right? Okay, because a motivated seller will not turn down an agent who has a genuine buyer. Okay. So pickup line, hi, I'm Bruce from SRI. I have a buyer looking for a unit around the area, keen to consider selling. Okay, sometimes I tell you I'm not selling and this and that, but you know this unit for sale. They say, oh, I heard that your unit is for sale. So then after that, subsequently you can push all the way, push until they really ask you to get off, or get lost or whatever. But the thing is that don't take no for an answer. Okay, when especially you know the unit is for sale. Okay, of course, another thing that's very useful is the landed FSBO. I think Ken always consolidates all this for sale by owner, right? Don't say that, hey, I don't do for sale by owner. The good thing about for sale by owner, I can tell you, is because there are a lot of developers who actually advertise for sale by owner. So it's good to build up the developer database. Why? Because next time you have, so happen when you do your farming, then an auntie call you, hey, I have a land for sale. Then you go there, it's a one-story, very nice big plot of land. Then you want to find buyers, right? Actually, you don't even need to go and advertise. You can just message out all these landed developers, and one of them will actually have a buyer for you. One of them will actually be keen in the plot. As long as it's well priced, there's potential, you know that it can build 4 houses, 5 houses, then subsequently they will be keen to buy. So one thing about this is you notice this landed, and when you actually look at it, there's a lot of there's Christopher. Most of the time, every time we'll see Christopher. Hey, Christopher's from Wakiao. So Wakiao has a lot of landed houses for sale. They are all FSBO. Okay, they don't do, very seldom they do exclusive arrangement and things like that. You see people doing open house, does it mean that they're exclusive? The answer is no, they just assigned to do open house there. Okay, so this one, they have a lot of opportunities. You deal with them, you have good land, you message them, they will buy from you as well. So FSBO is a very good place. Also good to see, maybe if let's say you are doing District 19 and there's a new listing, this owner receives so many agent ads, he don't call agent, he advertise himself. So at least you see a new listing come up, you're able to inform your database of buyers immediately that there's a new landed listing. So FSBO is something, don't ignore FSBO for landed properties. Okay. Okay, this is something I do. Property Guru. Okay, a lot of y'all only have your agent account, right? Why? Because paid things, then you pay, right? Then you use, right? Free things you don't want to use. There's actually a buyer's account. Okay, so if you actually can register for a Property Guru buyer's account, okay, the buyer's account is very nice and very useful. Why? Because you can actually go in, I have a buyer's account, and I set an alert. I pretend I'm a property buyer. So for example, if let's say I'm doing a lot of 9, 10, 11 landed properties, I'll just set a new alert, okay, to inform me every time there's a new listing for District 9, 10, 11. Okay, so if you are very good in a particular district, maybe let's say District 13 or maybe District 13, what happens is that it comes to a point where every night at midnight, Guru actually send you an email. These are all the new listings. It must come to a point where you look at the email, wow, I know every single property that, I know what this agent marketing, this agent marketing, this agent marketing. Hey, how come this one I never see it before? Then my aim for the day is to find out which unit that is. My aim for tomorrow at least, okay? So one thing with this is that this alert, when will you get it? When people refresh, it's not considered a new listing. This is only if the agent took the trouble to create new listing and post up a new listing and it matches what you said here, you get the email. So every day, maybe the email when I get, maybe there are maybe 10 to 15 new listings. The good thing about doing this as well, it's a very good habit because especially if you are working in landed and you're doing maybe D19, okay, and what happened is that maybe this owner tell you, hey, give you exclusive, verbally give you exclusive, don't want to sign, refuse to sign. Then what happened is that if every day you receive this email, okay, and you diligently go through the email and see what are all the new listings, right? Suddenly you see, hey, how come there's a new joker marketing my listing? So you immediately can confront the owner, hey, I saw this agent marketing, do you know? Then you say, oh yeah, this is actually introduced to me by my relative or something. So at least you immediately know what's happening with your listings. So this is a very good practice to have a Property Guru buyer's account. Okay, go and check it out. Okay, go into Property Guru, don't always think you're an agent, go in, pretend you're a buyer, then create the account. They ask you to create an account, you create an account, and then that's a buyer's account, okay? Okay, some little tips when advertising. I think a couple of people are asking me. It really depends on the objective. Sometimes if you have exclusive and things like that, why do we try and mask and hide the unit? When you have a landed listing, okay, if it's vacant, a vacant house, you have the keys, owner don't know when you're doing viewing, I think it's fine, okay? However, if let's say it's a house where the owner is staying inside, the worst thing for landed, when you're a landed agent, is for 1 whole month, no viewings. No viewings, why? Not because nobody wants to buy the area. No viewings because it's so in your face where you know that, hey, this is the properties that's for sale. So buyers sometimes, instead of going in, they go down and see first from the outside. Then they say, hey, maybe this, they don't like, whatever, from the outside, don't look very nice. They don't even call you, don't even go in. So actually, there are a lot of buyers looking at property without your knowledge or without the owner's knowledge. So sometimes these viewings allow you to gauge the motivation for sale, find out what is roughly the owner's expected pricing and things like that. So you need viewings. So why do we mask? When we mask, what happens is that people are curious, right? They don't know the answer. So they want to call you and ask you, where is the house, what is the house? That's when you're able to arrange for a viewing. Okay, so the thing is that by masking it instead of putting in the road name. So for example, you have property in, let's say in Serangoon Gardens, or let's say you have a property in Chartwell Drive. If you go and write semi-D for sale in Chartwell Drive, what's going to happen is that people walk down Chartwell Drive, they can figure out which house is it. Okay, and oh, Chartwell Drive, wow, very noisy because all the buses go down this particular drive. I don't want Chartwell Drive. People don't even call you. However, if you look at it and you advertise it as an area, bungalow in Serangoon Gardens, then it becomes very, very big area, more difficult for agents to find out your listing. Okay, and buyers and more buyers will call because, hey, there's a bungalow for sale and things like that. So subsequently they'll call up. Okay, and this builds up your buyer database. That's what we want, right? We want the buyer database so we can match the seller. So try to be a little, even though you got exclusive, try and be a little bit more discreet in terms of the property that's for sale. Okay, use vicinity road names. Sometimes I use adjacent road names, and then I highlight the key selling points of the unit. So this now I told you what are the selling points. You highlight those key selling points that attracts buyers to call, landed buyers. Okay, then photographs also very important. It's very important to have just nice interior shots, 1 or 2. Even if no nice interior shots, you can use shots of the streets, okay, nearby streets, and you can just, so try to avoid having window pictures and things like that, which allow agents, especially if they're not an exclusive listing, okay, you try and hide it as much as possible. The best is don't even advertise. Sometimes I don't even, for my landed listings that are not exclusive and owners say I give you verbal exclusive, I don't even put it on Guru. Because Guru is most of the buyers that call you from Guru are either smarter than you, okay, they know more than you, or most of it is agents. So a lot of my landed listings, you go to my Guru, probably has like 20% of my actual landed listings. Okay, my actual landed listings, a lot of them just go on papers. The papers are the buyers. Papers generally are buyers who call you, and when they call you, they are very serious about buying property. Okay, when they call you from papers, so difficult to look for property. They call you, chances are they are not as smart as you. Okay, people call you from Guru, they are really smarter than you because they call so many agents already. Okay, so a picture like this, very simply, very easy to find out which unit, right? Especially if let's say you give the road name or the street name or things like that. He walked down, he looked for a tree with red branches here. After he looked, hey, the wooden facade, he know which house is it already. Okay, so this is the thing. Try and avoid these kind of pictures. Good. So, what happened to my one slide? Okay, never mind. Anyway, so landed property photography, one thing we try and do is we try and capture space. Okay, so obviously, those of you who attended Benson's lesson last week, okay, you have all the tools of the trade to get very, very good shots. Okay, wide angle lens, maximum details, show space, show greenery, show unblocked view, renovated interiors, show contrast. So very, very nice colors that's very pleasing to the eye. Okay, it's green, so greenery against gray and with wood. Okay, so these are the things that people see really like. Okay, so this is one thing to note. Okay, drone photography as well. Now, a lot of people I think we are one of the first in terms of drone photography. And now you see a lot of people copying and doing it up. Okay, so drone photography, why? It gives you a different perspective, not very boring. Okay, obviously this can only be done for generally your exclusive listings because drone photography is not possible to go and drone photography and hide the unit. Okay, it shows us the roof so they can even figure out where it is. So the thing is that I normally do this for my exclusive listings, just to show that, like for example, this property, what happens, I'm able to show that, oh, if you actually build up the property, because the land is looks very, if you actually go there and look at it, it looks very boring. But the higher up view, you notice that, hey, you actually build 2.5 stories. From your half story, you can see Bukit Timah Hill, you know. So it's things like this that, oh, with drone photography, it gives you a different perspective, give buyer a different perspective that interests them. Okay, so if you want to fly a drone, please go and get yourself registered. Okay, find out where you cannot fly a drone. So there's a link there. So obviously later I'll send out the slide. The link there, this actually shows you where you cannot fly the drone. So you cannot fly a drone, don't go and fly there, because we are already on a last warning already from CAS. Okay, because sometimes we fly, you capture military sites and things like that, like Hillview, you end up flying. Okay, some areas you can just see the military, the Hillview military site. Then like Sembawang area, you go and fly up. There's an airfield there, okay, and things like that. So you need to be careful of this. Okay, so just get the drone license. So this is just a slide. Later you can go through it yourself. So activity permit, I think with about just under $600, I think, you can actually get a drone operator license, or you can fly just one time. So this drone operator license allow you, what you need to do is you need to go for a test. They make sure that you know how to operate the drone properly before giving you this license. Then, or you can do an activity permit, okay, each time you fly the drone. Okay, video marketing, we have this tie-up. Okay, I think those of you who know of this Affinity charges quite expensive. For landed property especially, it's like $1,000 to $2,000. Okay, we have a very special tie-up with Lawrence. So Lawrence only does videos for SRI. I think some of you are given his contact. So he charges about $500, $600 for a video for landed home. Okay, so this is something, it saves you the cost. Instead of paying $1,000, $2,000 per video. I think it's very important when you do landed property marketing. The video is very good, especially for video walkthrough. However, if everything is done by the video, same problem you have. Buyers, they don't come down and see the house. You got no viewings. Owners don't see no viewings. They will start to entertain people who knock on the door. If every week you bring people, when agents knock on the door, what they're going to do? They're going to refer you to the agent because, hey, this agent's working hard. They recognize the effort. However, if you don't have viewings for 1 month and suddenly one agent knock on the door and say, I have a buyer. Wow, there's actually a buyer for my unit. Then he will start entertaining the agent. Okay, so very important. So sometimes video marketing, what we use, why do we have video marketing is essentially to show homeowners when we do exclusive, we don't lose out to other agents. Other agents say, hey, I can do for you video marketing, show the video while they are so impressed by the video. So a good thing is that at least get 1 or 2 videos done for yourself. Such you can show owners that you sign exclusive, I do a video for your home. Okay, and when they do that, is that the cost of your exclusive is what? $500? With this $500 investment, you secure exclusive for a sale that could potentially bring you 20 to 50 to 100,000. Correct? So this is one thing that you should get done with your landed property. This is one of the edge that you can use to pitch for the exclusive. Because last time, what I do to pitch for exclusive, especially I know the seller is very motivated, just getting to sign the exclusive. What I do is I offer to, hey, paint up the living room. I guess it's the same thing for a lot of people are doing now, like home staging. So now, more and more, you just go through, oh, I'm willing to do video marketing for you and show them what you have done for previous properties. Okay, I won't go through this video. This is actually a video of landed home marketing. Okay, next, talk about open houses. Essentially, if you are serious about doing landed full-time, okay, open house has to be part and parcel of your sales life cycle. Okay, even for me as well, do I do open house? The answer is yes, I do open house. Why? When you do open house, that's when you get to know new buyers. Because why? Sometimes buyers, your advertisement maybe 4-line, you do one 4-liner, you expect a lot of calls. The answer is you won't get a lot of calls, right? Yeah, of course, you do a big ad, you get more calls. But buyers may still miss out your ad because maybe you advertise Saturday, buyers saw the paper on Sunday, miss out your ad. But we know that when do people search for properties? They usually go for viewings on Sunday or Saturday. And when they go for around, and most of the people are at home on Saturday, Sunday, so most of the homeowners are home. So when you do a landed open house, what happens is that this buyer may be in the area because he called under of your competitors' ads. He just viewed one property across the street. Okay, and what happens is they see open house, he end up walking in, or he see the open house banner. Then he said, hey, I'm looking for a home. So he follows the banner, the directional sign, and it's just your open house. So what happens, you leverage on other people's ads, you hope the open house to bring in the buyers. Okay, so this is really to build up the buyer database as well for the open house. So obviously the best places to do open house is where the owner is not home. So like vacant units, developer new sales, these are where the open houses usually happen. It's a good place to get buyer leads. Okay, within a single weekend on a very high traffic area, actually the best open houses to do are those houses that are along the roadside. Because I think same thing for show flat. Those developments that are on the roadside, they gain more visibility, more people know about it, right? So versus those houses that are actually deep in, you need to follow a lot of signs to get there, then it's where you get lesser response. Okay, so that's the best place to meet people. Same like doing a show flat. It's just that it's just done on a Saturday and Sunday. Same thing for homeowners when they live in the area and you know, hey, this person is very active. I always see him doing open house in the area. So when they want to sell, they may just walk in and say, hey, any buyers you can bring over to my unit as well. Okay, so this open house concept is mainly for you to plant a flag, show your presence within the area. Okay. Okay. Then branding, I think for branding in the area, banners is very important. Banners give you the most visibility. Okay, a lot of people, buyers, would-be buyers, the banner, most of them just call up and ask for the price. Okay, not only for sale. Sold banners also very important because sold banners, sometimes owners also call you, ask you what's the price. Sold banners, sometimes you have buyers who also call you and think it's for sale. Okay, and these are things where, just remember, not all sellers like to have a sold banner in front of their house. So sometimes if the seller, what I always do is that I try and negotiate it when I close the deal. I try and put it as part of the negotiations when they're signing the OTP to place a banner in front of the gate. Okay, or sometimes they don't want, they don't want, okay, say maybe 2-3 days before completion or when you move out, at least let me put up the sold banner for that 1 week. Okay, so these are things where you talk upfront. You don't wait until the household OTP sign and you say, hey, can I put a banner up? The answer is probably going to be no, right? There's no value add in them doing this. Okay, next, when you hang out a banner, also, if you need a banner, you can get it designed by our office. Okay, Joseph can do it for you. And if you need the application for hanging of banner as well, please get it done. Please at least get 1 or 2 places, especially those high traffic areas. Try and get your banners license. Sometimes there's a lot of sabotage. People take a picture, send to BCAA, then they check, hey, this one never applied for license, then you get fined. The first time is $100, second time is $500, then it goes up higher and higher. Okay, so one thing to note is that please go and get your banners license. So it's an online application. All you need to do is that you need an owner's authorization letter. Okay, a picture showing location of banner. So take a picture of the house, you show where I'm going to hang the banner. Then you show the layout plan. So you can use the one map and show them the position of the banner in comparison to the road. Then the artwork of the banner, where you're going to display the license number. When you give the license number, where you're going to put it. Methods of fixing on the banner. Okay, so you just say, hey, I use cable tie, material use, canvas banner. Okay, and then just do the online application. Then within 2 days, they actually give you a approval. Okay, so now I'm going into the tools of the trade. So for those of you who haven't got the research app, please go and get it. Okay, when you go into the research app, one thing that's very useful is this thing called Landscope. Okay, so Landscope allows you to offhand. I think a couple of things that I find very handy is when the owner calls up and he says that, hey, I have this unit for sale. Straight away, I go to Landscope, I key in the address and I search. Those of you who haven't downloaded, please download it. Those of you who don't know how to get an account can look for Rose, she can get your account. Okay, and just by keying the address, it shows me the dimension of the plot. I know the location, I know the dimension, I know the facing, I know the master plan zoning. Okay, from there I can straight away tell whether it's a 2-story landed zoning, it's a 3-story landed zoning. I can even tell the land area, tenure. Okay, and even if it's a new house, what I can even tell is I can tell who is the architect, who is the contractor, when is the TOP date. Okay, these are all very interesting details because then the owner will be very impressed with you also because straight away offhand, he gives you an address, you can tell him, oh, your land is 4,200 square feet. Your unit just TOP 2 years ago. Okay, and then these are you're using Gus Architect as your architect. So the owner will be very impressed with you because you already know the information offhand. Okay, so download this application. One thing also, you can click on transactions. Then this will give you the transaction prices around the area. Okay, and just to go a little bit more about this app. This app also gives you the planning permission. So planning permission inside, you can actually click, see when he got a TOP. It will actually show, in 2012, he applied to build a half attic or things like that. It gives you a little bit of history. These are all pulled up from BCA. Okay, and the use, I guess the use is not really important for landed, but for those of you who do shop houses, the use actually show you the approvals. First floor can do F&B, second floor. So this is something very interesting. So if you don't have this app, please download it. So when you click on the app itself, okay, there's something called master plan. So this one shows you the master plan, and when you click on master plan, it shows you which the landed zoning and things like that as well. Okay. I know, I noticed. That's why we actually alerted the developer. The master plan tab is missing. Because why? You need to upgrade to the premium paid version. No, just kidding. So the master plan tab, if you actually download it now, is missing because there's probably some changes to the site. So we have to go and get the developer to change it as well. Okay, one thing about this app, I want to let you know. Yes, okay. So do you know that from this app, you can actually find out the facing of the unit? Okay, so a lot of times people think that this is north. This is not north. You go and click on it, it brings you to your current location. Okay, so how do I tell? Okay, so now this unit, is it north or east or south or west? It's very simple. This is not tilted for whatever reason. It's very simple. This is true north. Okay, so what happens is that it asks you what is the main door facing. Then obviously you know that this is the road, right? This is the road. So obviously you know that the main door obviously has to be here, right? So what is this main door facing? So you're standing in the house, you're looking out. So it's southwest. Okay, southwest. For those of you who really need help, this is south, this is west, and this is east. Okay, so from this app, you can straight away tell. So sometimes you want to know, hey, this unit at west sun, don't have west sun, whatever. From this app, you straight away can tell whether it has west sun or not. Okay. So you can, okay, one thing also you can download, since the tab is missing, James, the tab missing for you, can use this app. So use the master plan app 2014. So you can find out from this, you can find out the maximum height. So when you key in the address and you see it's a 3-story mixed landed, what does this mean? This means that you can build 3.5 stories. Okay, if you see 2-story mixed landed, you can build 2.5 stories. Okay, so this thing is that one thing about this landed housing type as well. Sometimes you see mixed landed, sometimes you see semi-D, sometimes you see detached. So 2-story detached. What does this mean? This means that in the area it says 2-story detached, you can only build 2-story detached. You don't say that, hey, I got a big plot of land, you go and tell the owner why you can build a row of terrace houses. Okay, so this is something that to take note of. Later I'll go into detail. There's one more slide that does this. This also shows you, can you build an apartment? Now you got a 10,000 square feet plot of land. Then after you tell the owner, wow, based on regulation, you can build an apartment. But the area is zoned as a landed zoning area, right? So you can't build an apartment. So this is one of the apps you can actually use to check the master plan. Okay, this is something, this is the only thing I use in SRX. Okay, it's actually to check. What I like to do is that I like to check, be the first to be alerted of the landed houses in the area if it's sold. So sometimes when I get a new listing, I just key in, pretend I'm a homeowner and key in the address. Okay, what happens is that it will alert me if any unit transact around the area. Okay, and so if it transacts around, when people submit the deals and whatever, it straight away alerts me that, oh, one unit has transacted. So at least I know which unit is it. Or don't blur later your owner, so the unit you also do not know. Okay, so this one thing that actually keeps you alerted in the area you operate in, or at least in the unit they are marketing, you know of the neighbors who transact immediately. Okay. We also subscribe to this app called Landed Rental. So houses actually is another tool that we have as well. So if you need access to that, you can get the access from Rose. So Landed Rentals, one thing wise is that it shows you which houses, generally is quite accurate. It shows you which houses is currently being rented out. Okay, so it shows you which houses is being rented out. It actually matches even the rental prices based on the caveats. it actually matched the rental prices and when was it stamp duties paid. So roughly you can tell, hey, rented for how long and things like that. Okay, so at least when you want to door knock at a time, you know that this house is rented. So obviously you have to buy the index to go and find out where he stays. Square foot, I use this quite a bit as well. So when I key in the address, I like this thing because it shows me what transacted within 1 kilometer radius. Because one thing you notice that sometimes the other applications, when you key in the street name, it only give you the transaction of that street. But when you want to present to owners or you want to present to a buyer, you're not able to find out within area. And especially if you do a District 19 search, then everything also come out from Punggol all the way down to pretty much to Serangoon. You have also all this District 19 listings that come up. So this one allows you, based on the address, within a 1 kilometer radius. So this is very good to find out transaction prices within the vicinity. Okay. Okay. So this is a case study. So case study, sometimes you are given a task. Maybe a buyer says, hey, I really like this unit. Okay, I'm willing to pay how much for this unit. This unit has been empty for the longest ever. It's been empty and it's run down. I like the land a lot. I want to buy it. Okay, so how do we find the owners? Okay, so a couple of ways. Easiest is to buy in list. You buy in list, generally you will see the address, right? So maybe this particular unit, 6 Swiss Club Avenue, it actually links down to Vanda Drive. Okay, so subsequently what I'll do is I'll then go to this Vanda Drive and then I will knock on the door. Okay, even if you want to even go one step further, you can buy the in-list for Vanda Drive and see whether the name matches, whether it's the same. So if it doesn't match, it could mean that he bought it under his family name or he could be renting and things like that. So at least when you knock on the door, you know that, is it wrong to knock the door? The answer is no. Everybody is open to knock whatever door you want. Okay, it's wrong to harass a person. Stop knocking my door and you go and knock again every single day, and then you're harassing the owner. Okay, so in this instance, it'll be different. So you go there and knock, then obviously you go and knock and you realize that, hey, he doesn't stay there. Then what happens? Next step, I'll use houses actually. Houses actually now is not as powerful as last time. Last time was very, very powerful. Last time it give me the name. This is an old screenshot. Give me the name. Last time they even have a mobile number. Today no more mobile number. Because now it gets even worse. They don't even give you the full name. They give you like half a name. Okay, and property match. Last time they used to give you all the properties you own, which is very, very useful. So now you can't. So but company match is still working. So now company match, what happened is that you can still see which company he is in. So sometimes you cannot find this guy. You go into this, you go company match. It shows you he's a director of this company, he's the owner of this company, and with the company, it's very easy to find him because you Google, there's a telephone number, you can actually call him or can go down to his office to find him. Okay, so this is how actually, if I then cannot find, I use how actually, I still cannot find the owner, then what happens? You can use HomeBiz. Okay, HomeBiz, need the access password is from data.com.sg. Okay, you can access it from home as well. And you find the number. Okay, so this one, based on that home address of 28 Vanda, this is the telephone number. So I check the DNC, can call, cannot call, I'll know. Okay, if this one still cannot find him, okay, then what happens next? Next, then we go and do a QuestNet. Because you have his IC number, right? So you have IC number, you do a QuestNet. So QuestNet will essentially show a lot of stuff about him. Okay, his arrested address. And sometimes the worst thing about this is that when this fails, you're quite dead already. Because if this fails inside and the address links back to this particular address, then game over. What happens? Okay, then you start picking out the box, right? That means everything failed already. This is really step 1 cannot, step 2 also fail, step 3 also fail, step 4 also fail. Everything failed already. Then out of the box, what I end up doing is I'll go down, I knock on the neighbors and ask, I actually need to look for this person. Do you know where he is? So chances are, if it's just not too long ago, most of them will actually have some information, or they may even know. Because especially if you see it's not like abandoned house, you see, hey, there's still a gardener coming in and things like that. Drop a note into the mailbox. Okay, constantly when you drive by, you see, hey, if you see that the garden is being pruned, okay, it's not like some jungle or things like that. Obviously, there's somebody looking after the house. Okay, so then things like that where you actually go and look out for people who actually access the house and talk to them. Okay, so usually it's the neighbor. Then neighbor tell you, oh, usually I always see at Monday morning the pool guy come in and service, or the gardener comes in every first of the month to look after the place and things like that. Then you say, hey, can you pass my contact number to this person? So generally, somehow or somewhere, you're able to get in contact with this person. Okay? Any questions so far? The answer is no. FSBO list, the number is not scrubbed. So you need to, whatever you call, you just go and scrub it on your own first. But FSBO, can you call? The answer, because they have put an ad, you can call, but you cannot call for the purpose of doing business. You can be calling to respond to the ad. Okay? Foreign ownership of land. Okay, so I go in a little bit of details. This is important to know because only Singaporeans can buy landed property. Okay, PRs and foreigners, they cannot buy. However, sometimes they are given permission to buy. So if let's say a foreigner today, they come to you and says that, hey, can I buy a landed property? Oh, maybe they, after you meet them, oh, they want to buy a GCB and things like that, and get very excited that, oh, I have a GCB buyer, but actually foreigners can't buy. The guideline, okay, general guideline based on my experience, when can foreigners or PRs buy? Okay, if foreigners tell you they can buy, obviously they have connections and things like that. There are some people who can buy. If they tell you they can buy and they 100% can buy, then you just ask them, oh, okay, have you got approval? If they haven't got approval, ask them to get a in principle approval. So it's about $900, $990, about almost $1,000. You can submit an in principle approval. Okay, the guideline is this: if a PR has been in Singapore for at least working in Singapore, tax-paying resident, right? PR has been in Singapore for about 5 years. The chance of approval is very, very high. If they just came in, just got a PR, want to apply, the chances of them getting the approval is very, very low. This is based on my own personal experience from applying, helping people to apply. Okay, so after they get the LDAU, the restrictions for them is very simple. Number one, they cannot buy in a GCB area. Okay, they cannot buy bigger than 1,500 square meters, and they cannot sell within 3 years, which is fine because anyway they sell within 3 years, you get the SSD as well. Okay, and they cannot rent out a unit. Okay, this is very, very important. They cannot rent out a unit is very important because why? This is the reason why Sentosa Cove, you drive around Sentosa Cove, there are a lot of empty houses. Hey, why people don't rent? And today, if you have a tenant for Sentosa Cove, there's hardly any houses available for rent as well. But although it's many empty, right? But because there are a lot of them, the buyers are actually foreigners or PRs. So when they go out of Singapore, they can't rent out the house. So that's why it's left empty. Okay? So touch a little, yep. Definitely cannot rent, yes. However, special permission can be granted. Sometimes we had cases where we did an application. If there's evidence that they got posted out, that means they already fulfilled pretty much the 3 years mark. Okay, and they have been posted elsewhere and things like that, and they give a reason that they have intention to come back. They submit a appeal to LDAU, the land dealings unit. What happens is that sometimes they give them approval to rent. That's why you see some units where are owned by foreigners or PRs. When you buy the list, hey, it's a foreigner owned the unit, but actually it's rented out. It's because they actually have special approval to rent out. Okay? Yep.
And he rented out the house, but he rented another house because the children are coming.
Yes, so it's possible. It's possible as long as you give the reason to LDAU, you write in and subject to them approving. So obviously this guy has a reason. You want to move maybe to closer to American school, right, near the kids, for the kids. So they need to rent out the unit and they write in and say, I'll rent out somewhere. It's possible. It's possible. Okay, so talk a little bit about Sentosa Cove. So at least you have a little bit of knowledge. One thing, Sentosa Cove is the only area where foreigners can buy very freely, pretty much very freely. Do they need a LDAU approval? They still need approval, but it's a almost guaranteed approval. Okay, they just do a bit of background checks. Generally okay, they give them the approval. So everything there is 99 years leasehold. There's about 300 bungalows. Okay, and all the units there are restricted to 2.5 story plus basement if there is. Okay, so there are 4 types of views: sea view, waterway view, lake, and golf course. So I think Sentosa is a landed zone on its own. But I give you a little bit of brief such that if you come in contact with a overseas buyer who want to buy a landed property, you can introduce Sentosa Cove to him. Okay. So these are some of the very nice units. So this is a unit that is the lakeshore, the lake view, lake and golf course. Okay. So this is actually the house for, what's that Japanese brand that Donkey, what's that? Yeah, he actually bought this house recently. Okay, this is a sea view facing. So this one actually faces the sea. So this is the Copper House. So those of you who have heard the Copper House in Sentosa, $48 million sea view. This is actually his house. So this is another house that is a waterway view. Okay, so sometimes the different view is very important, because if they tell you, oh, I want to berth my yacht behind my house, then you cannot offer him a sea view, because sea view unit, they don't face they don't have a berth because they're facing the sea, right? So obviously then you have to recommend him a waterway view. Don't recommend a lake view, because lake view there's no exit to the sea as well. Okay, so this is some where the waterway view, actually you can see the boats being berthed here. So this one will be unit here. This will be actually the lake, the waterway, sorry, the waterway, and behind here will be the sea view. Okay, the two views, and then obviously the road is in the center, in the center of the two rows of houses. Okay. So any prospects for Sentosa, swing them my way, I can assist you, right? I would say that I know at least 50-60% of the Sentosa landed homeowners. Okay. Okay. I go a little bit into retrieving floor plans. Sometimes I think for condos very easy, usually very easy to get the floor plans. I get it online. Landed, a little bit more challenging. Okay, so one thing about landed is a good practice to always ask for the floor plan, because sometimes there's illegal modifications done and things like that. And then sometimes you get into trouble after the whole deal is done. Hey, there's an illegal modification. How come he never submit? He built extra half story, never submit, or things like that. Attic is not approved attic and things like that. You have complications that come out. So it's a very good practice to just when you do a landed property, especially if it's exclusive, either ask for the floor plan or get him to sign the authorization. So you can actually purchase online. So the link is there. Later on, when you get the slides, you can click in. You can sign the authorization form. Okay, authorization form, simply the owner signs and gives you permission. You write in your name and your NRIC, and he basically authorizes you to get the floor plans. On top of that, you need a copy of the owner's NRICs, okay, and a copy of the property tax. Okay, so these are the things that are required, and you can just do everything online. You submit the documents online. How much does it cost? When you submit the documents online, you pay $30, okay, by e-nets and whatever. So subsequently, within 3 to 5 days, they email you back, okay, your plans are ready for viewing. They give you the link. You click on the link, go in, select the plans you want. That's $40 per set. So sometimes you want something very simple, just the floor plan layout, that's $40. Okay, then sometimes you want to go something even more detailed. Why? Because maybe the buyer who bought already want to do A&A, things like that. Then when you need to get all the different sets. So there's an electrical set, there's a plumbing set. Okay, so all these sets are all $40 each. So it adds on to how many sets you want to get. Okay. Next, go into subdivision of land. So, yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes. No, you get the later set. A&A set. One set. Okay, the question from Jasmine is that if you go in and the house has gone through maybe 3 or 4 rebuildings, or even just go through one round A&A, which set do you get? The set that you get is the current set, the latest set. You can't retrieve before. Okay, you can only retrieve the current, most latest set of floor plans for the house. Okay? Okay, next, go into subdivision of land for redevelopment. So these are very, very dry. Having said this, it's very important to know, because you will know whether this property can be subdivided or not. Okay, so inter-terraces, the minimum requirement for land size is 150 square meters. There are only a few numbers you need to remember. First number is 150 square meters. Second number is for semi-D is 200 square meters. Okay, for bungalow, 400 square meters. And good class bungalow, 1,400 square meters. This one probably don't need to know. So you just know 150, 200, and 400. These are the 3 numbers to know. So these are minimum sizes. Next, there's a minimum frontage size as well. So you notice for inter-terrace, let's go back inter-terrace. This number, how come every time I see landed inter-terrace, especially those built by developer, why all the size all 1615, 1615, 1615? Because they build the minimum size. That's why you end up with 1615. 150 square meters is 1615. Okay, frontage must be 6 meters. Okay, semi-D, frontage minimum 8 meters. Bungalow, frontage minimum 10. So 6, 8, 10. Very simple to remember, right? Okay, GCB, the frontage minimum is 18.5. Okay, having said all this, then you have something that's missing, right? What's missing? Corner terrace. Corner terrace missing, right? Corner terrace follows the same as a semi-D. Okay, that's right. So the only difference between a semi-D and a corner terrace is the title. One is a semi-D, one is corner terrace, but the specs, everything is all the same. Having said this, okay, now we go into subdivision. So a bungalow, if let's say is of minimum size, 400 square meters, and frontage of 16 meters, okay, it can be subdivided into 2 semi-Ds because 8 meters, 8 meters, right? Okay, bungalows. What happens is that it doesn't always have to mean that things can be only subdivided. Okay, what happens is that things can also be pulled away. That means a semi-D can upgrade into a bungalow if it meets the minimum criteria. So for example, you have a pair of semi-Ds, okay, that are actually very, very big. Okay, and the frontage is 10 meters. So maybe the land size itself is 400 square meters of each plot. So this is 400. This is 400 square meters. Okay, but now it's a semi-D. What can happen after is that you can tell clients that, hey, you can buy this plot of land, you can rebuild and pull away into a bungalow. It's possible. Okay, so the final one will be, yeah, you have one unit, the old unit is still here on the boundary, the old unit is actually still here on the boundary, and the new unit that your client bought, he actually pulled it away into a bungalow. Okay, so this is possible. Okay, so a row of inter-terrace can also become semi-D by pulling away. Why? This happens very, very commonly in Serangoon Gardens. Because Serangoon Gardens, last time if you go to one of those streets that no redevelopments happen, actually one whole row. Last time is one whole long row of all inter-terraces. Okay, what happened is that as long as you fulfill the minimum criteria, so semi-D, if you remember, is 200 square meters and 8 meter frontage. So assuming an inter-terrace has fulfilled the criteria, 200 square meters, 8 meter frontage, right? They fulfilled the criteria. Then you can ask them to rebuild and pull away. Okay, and what happens with this is that essentially he made this guy from a corner terrace, right? Now what happened? These 2 units became a semi-D. Okay? So with this, what has happened is that he actually upgraded his title. Okay, but having said this as well, the other 2 leftover units, actually what happens, sometimes you go down Serangoon Gardens or you go down a few of the landed home, say, hey, why this guy so ugly built to the wall, built to the boundary? Actually, it's not because he built to the boundary, it's because the guy actually bought over and he pulled his house back and made his pull away from the wall. So obviously, this unit today, this particular unit, he's not a semi-D yet, because why? His wall is still built right to the end of the boundary. So he's still an inter-terrace. Okay, but if somebody buys his house, he has the ability to pull away and become either a corner terrace or semi-D. Okay? Yeah, when you do this, obviously you need to submit a building plan to BCA, right? Because you are rebuilding. So it's subject to BCA approving. But obviously, if you meet the minimum criteria, there's no reason why they say no. These are the minimum guidelines. These are the planning guidelines. You follow the guidelines, it definitely can be done. Okay. So sometimes you see a very nice big bungalow, very old bungalow. Okay, and you want to see whether I can build a row of terraces. So number 1, it must first fulfill the criteria of the zoning. It cannot be, if let's say the zoning is 2-story semi-D or 2-story detached, you cannot go and build in the terraces. You can only build up. So a 2-story semi-D zoning, can you build terrace? The answer is no, but you can build bungalow. You can only build higher. You cannot downgrade the area. So one thing about this, you notice some areas are very nice. Like you go to Bradle Heights Estate, Bradle Heights, or you go to Frankel. Okay, Bradle Heights, for example, you go in, notice one, very nice, very spacious. The feel is different. Why? Because the whole area is all bungalows. You drive around, it's all bungalows. So the land plots are minimum size, 4,300 square feet. Okay. However, then maybe you go down into Frankel area. You drive in Frankel area, oh, so very nice. Why? Because all of them are minimum semi-Ds and above. Okay, so when you go, the land plots also very nice. Then you go into Juchiat or Telok Kurau. Wow, maybe go into maybe let's say Siglap area first. Siglap area, wow, still okay, still look a bit landed, but you see one very messy because you have semi-D, have bungalow, have semi-D, terrace, bungalow, everything will have. So it gets a bit worse. Then later you go worse, go to Telok Kurau. What happened? Wow, have everything under the sun. You have small apartment, you have landed. So this is the thing. That's why you see different landed areas have different feel. So obviously people want a semi-D and above feel. Wow, everything is spacious, very, very big and nice. Okay. So as I mentioned, for a bungalow to be subdivided into multiple units, okay, it has to have a minimum frontage of 22 meters. Because why? Corner terrace is 8 meters and 8 meters, right? So the two corner terrace, 8 meters, and 200 square meters minimum size, right? And then the inter terrace is 150 square meter minimum size and a 6 meter frontage. So you add it all up. As long as a bungalow has a land size of 550 square meters, frontage of 22 meters, it can be subdivided. Okay. So for apartments, obviously minimum size must be 1,000 square meters and it's not zoned for landed housing. Okay, that's why some areas you see that it has more land, like Kovan or this, yeah, Telok Kurau, they have, it's not a landed zoning. So it's apartment zoning at 1.4 plot ratio and things like that, right? So these are places where you can buy a 10,000 square feet bungalow and tell them you can build an apartment. Okay, so these are the guidelines. So as I mentioned, okay, this one here, when you go into the URA master plan, you can see like two-story semi-detached versus this area has no landed zoning. So any land in this area, like maybe this is an old bungalow, for example, this can build apartment. A land here that is very big, maybe you see some land here about 10,000 square feet, or maybe lands here that is very, very big. You can't build apartment. Why? Because it's within the landed zoning. This is what I mean. Okay. Okay. One thing about this, the slides are missing. Okay. Anyway, one thing about this, when you pull away units, okay, you must remember that after you pull away, or you were to, so for example, units like this, if you were to pull away, you must make sure that your neighbor is eligible to be something. Okay, you cannot go and pull away, oh, this land, your land maybe is, let's say, 4,300 square feet and your frontage is 10 meters. Okay, you cannot say, okay, I can be a bungalow. But your neighbor's land maybe only 2,500 square meters. Okay, and his frontage is 8 meters. Then you pull away. Then what happened? He's left with nothing. He's too small to be a bungalow. Then he's like, you pull away, he cannot be a bungalow, he's too small. Then he becomes no man's land. So under the regulation, if you do anything, you must make sure that your partner after that is still something after you pull away. Okay, so you must meet the minimum criteria when you pull it away. Okay. Okay, so this is an example, a case study of a unit where originally it's two semi-Ds. So it was like that. It was a pair of semi-Ds. Okay, and the entrance is here and here. Okay, then subsequently what happened is because it's on a corner plot, so this has been planned into 4 terraces that exit from here. And it meets all the minimum size requirement. Why? Because it's 8 meters, 6 meters, 6 meters. And this is 8 meters, this is 7.43, but actually is, you count the spin here, is 8.71. Okay, so this is an example of plots of land and being able to subdivide into different basically to maximize the development potential of the land, such that developers can buy in at a higher per square feet price. Okay, so for you, of course, if let's say you need a little bit of help with this, you see a very good plot of land, you can always ping us, and then we can do up and at least advise you on what is doable with that plot of land. Okay. Oh yes, this is what I mentioned. This is where the slide went. Okay, so assuming you have this case scenario where this row of terrace houses, okay, this row of terrace houses is 8 meters, 8 meters, 8 meters, and the neighbor, the one of the unit at the end is 10 meters. Okay, so 10 meters by right can do a bungalow, right? Then, but you look at the size, 200, 200, 200, and 300. 300 square meters, can this pull away? The answer is cannot, right? That means, assuming you bought this unit, okay, what happens is that you tell them that, hey, I want to pull away. You can pull away that unit because the neighbor can be a 10-meter frontage, so it can be a bungalow. The answer is cannot, because his size is only 300 square meters. Okay, so what can you do with this actually? He can pull away the other way. This unit can actually pull away into this and have a semi-D status. Okay, so this is the thing. So this is the thing where you have to pay attention that you cannot pull away and make the neighbor become nothing. Don't know what is he already more. You don't know whether it's a semi-D, a detached, or anything like that. Okay. Okay, talk a little bit about the SRI difference. Sometimes you may have a land for sale and you need a little bit of perspectives. You need perspective. So we have done a whole collection of perspectives. So if you need, you have a plot of land for sale, you need a perspective from us. I've actually assisted quite a few people already. So if you need a certain concept to help you sell your landed property better, people can visualize your perspective. You can actually ask me, okay, and I can give you a perspective for the unit. So actually you can tell owners, how you can position owners very simple. You engage me as your agent, okay, and your old house and things like that. I will engage somebody to do a perspective for potential buyers to able to envision what the house is like. Okay, then you just let me know, then I'll give you a perspective. There's no charge and anything like that. It's just it's done for free, for goodwill. Okay, so essentially you just pass it to us, and then the address, the land size, and things like that, and within a day or two, I can give you a perspective that you can use for your marketing. Okay, there are some, we have a couple of missing ones, but essentially is we're getting it up such that we have a full spectrum of units. Another thing about SRI difference is that if you have a plot of land and you need help in terms of convincing developers to buy, okay, one thing, the expertise that we have here is that because we are also developers also, so we are able to do up a financial calculation for you very, very quickly to convince buyers to buy, or show owner that his price is not doable for developers. Because some owners tell you, hey, my land's so big, so nice, or help me sell to a developer. So you can do up a document like this and show him that, hey, at the kind of price you want, how developer make money. Okay, so this one actually fills up. I can do up the whole FA for you. This one I've got to take a couple more days. Like, I'm free, I'll do it for you. But if not, it takes a bit more time where I can do a calculation for you based on the break-even prices for developers. And with this, you're also able to convince developers to buy the landed unit as well. So this is something that we can assist you from SRI. Okay. So next thing about landed housing, this is all the challenging part. Okay, one thing about landed housing is that there have been a lot of cases. It's easier to get in trouble for landed housing. Why? Because there's a lot of misstep. There are things that you do not know. Sometimes you get a landed house, you think, wow, so cheap, so easy to sell. But a lot of hidden things that you do not know. For example, there are things called road line plan. So every time I have a landed house, okay, for example, this is one house where the land is very big. The land is actually 11,000 square feet. Owner only wants 8 million. Today it's still for sale. Okay, so if you look at it, wow, 11,000 square feet, freehold, East Coast, 8 million only. Damn cheap, you know, very cheap, like what, 800 plus per square feet. When it's too good to be true, then, you know, right? So, you know there's a next to a main road. So what are you going to do is you're going to buy the road line plan. Then I realize that, hey, about 1/3 of the land is gone. 4,300 square feet of the land is gone. Effectively, the land only left with 7,000 square feet. Not even 7,000, sorry, 6,600 square feet. So is 8 million cheap anymore? The answer is no, it's not cheap already. It's actually market price. But if you do not know, you go and sell to people and say, hey, the land's so big, 11,000 square feet, only 8 million. Then you sell the unit already, he find out about the road line plan, then what happened? Then everything all falls apart. Everything. What happens is that in your OTP today, okay, if you're doing condos, maybe this clause you hardly go and look at it. But if you're doing landed, there's a clause inside in your OTP that says this sale is subjected to the solicitors receiving satisfactory replies from the LTA and thing about road line plan and things like that. So this is one thing where for landed, you be very careful. If it's near a main road, okay, whether in the front or the back of the house, always buy the road line plan. It costs $53.50. You buy it, at least you have peace of mind, because if you see something like this, you know, okay, there's a problem with this land. When you sell this plot of land, you got to let buyers know that there's a road line plan, how much of the land actually is going to be given. If you were to rebuild, it has been given away. Okay, but if you don't rebuild, assuming this plot of land, if a buyer buys it and leave it the way it is, he don't rebuild, the land is still his. He still got to keep it, but the government has earmarked this land for possible road expansion. So they need to bear in mind that this land anytime can be reacquired by the government. Okay. Next, when we buy the road line plan as well, when you buy the road line plan, the words here, it actually tells you what category of road is it. Okay, so Cat 1 being the worst of the worst, which is expressway. Cat 5 being all your small roads, which is the best. Cat 5 roads are your very quiet roads, very normal roads. So Cat 5 roads are the most normal roads in landed housing. Okay, and what happens with this is that that's also very important in redevelopment because it sets the setback. Very important, right? So some houses you notice, especially when you go to ENRICH or you go to E-Lito. So this is actually taken from E-Lito, right? Yeah, this is actually Yio Chu Kang Road. You notice that all the houses, the front is actually here, the back is here. All the houses all maintains a minimum this much of land, right? Why? It's because Yio Chu Kang Road is actually a Cat 2 road, which means that they have to have a 12-meter setback from the road. So from here all the way to the start of the house, it has to be at least 12 meters. Okay, if it's an expressway, you notice like there are a lot of houses in Faber Drive, I think. Yeah, the back, Faber Crescent. So the back is actually the expressway. So what happens is that the back, all the houses are actually set back from the expressway. So you cannot go and tell the buyers that, hey, you can build all the way out while you get very big build up and things like that. So with the category of roads, you're able to tell what's the setback. So it's ranged from 8 to 24, depending on the category of roads. Okay, so it's very important to know. Then there's a challenge, right? What happens is that, wow, the buyers, when they come and see the property, say, wow, so much land wasted. Okay, what can you do with that setback? What can you do within that setback? You can always ask them to build a pool. So within the setback, what can you build? You can build anything that is not the structure, main structure of the house. So you can build a pool, you can build a gazebo outside, anything that can be torn away later very easily if there was any road acquisition. What happens is that you can build swimming pool, because swimming pool, what happens is that even if they were to take up, you lose your swimming pool, but your house is still there. So these are the things where sometimes when buyers tell you that, hey, I buy this land, wow, the setback is so big, so much land wasted. Let them know you can build a pool in that area. You can build a pool with a nice, very garden, gazebo, outdoor sitting area, barbecue pit, and things like that. Okay, so this is what you can do within the setback. Then I talk a little bit into construction costs. Okay, this is one of my favorite apps called Arcadis Cost, and download it. Inside this app, it will tell you, they update it every quarter. Okay, so all the costs of construction costs all goes there. So sometimes when you have an old house for sale, then the people buyers ask you, hey, what's the cost of construction? Okay, and they are not convinced by what you say. You can ask them to download this app and go and see for themselves. So it will tell you, oh, inter-terrace, the cost of construction between $230 to $330. So they'll give you a breakdown. One thing I like about this is that it'll give you a breakdown. Okay, it will actually have 2 columns. Some of them have 3 columns. So one is low quality, average quality, good quality. So this app also allows you to even look at construction costs as they move throughout how much construction costs move up for even apartments and things like that. So this is why I just want an app to share with you. Okay. Okay, so more importantly, after you buy the road line plan, there are more plans as well. Okay, sometimes what happens if this is that there's also a railway protection plan. Okay, so it's not over yet. Sometimes you, especially like Kembangan area. So okay, so this property is actually at Kembangan, Waringin Walk. So one of the trouble was that I bought behind Waringin is actually the main road. Okay, and when I bought the road line plan, I said, wow, lucky. There's no road line plan. But what happened is I noticed that when I went into E-Lito, I noticed, hey, there's a MRT running below. Okay, Kembangan is when they start going in, right? Going in. And subsequently, that's when I actually bought the railway protection plan. And the railway protection plan actually is within the railway protection plan zoning. So this is also part of the requirement. So at least you know that there's a railway protection plan and there's actually 2 zonings. So within zone 1, you cannot power up to how much. Within zone 2, you cannot power. So at least you are aware. So in case what happens is that if let's say the buyer wants to buy and he wants to power and build a big house and things like that, or even developers, sometimes the developers, they want to buy a big plot of land and build an apartment. There's certain restrictions to what they can do, especially if there's a railway protection plan. So this is another plan to buy as well, to at least you won't have an unexpected scenario where you end up selling the house, then option money taken, buyer already buy, and what happens is that they later exercise the option. Then what happens on your end is that, hey, you're very happy, done the sale, you bring this seller to go and buy another house, put the option money elsewhere. Then later you come back, the lawyer say, hey, sorry, the buyer don't want to buy anymore because there's a road line plan also within the railway protection plan. Then they back out the deal. Then your side also, everything get jammed up. And in the end, from very happy, become very, very, very sad and troubled. Okay, so try and avoid this kind of situations. Okay, so after you think it's over, right? Road line plan, then railway protection plan. Is it over? The answer is no, it's not over yet. There's still a drainage interpretation plan. Okay, this is not so important. It's only important if, let's say, why we buy the drainage interpretation plan is because sometimes there's a drainage reserve. So when there's a drainage reserve, right, what happens is that the area cannot be built on top of. Okay, but sometimes for redevelopment, why is a drainage interpretation plan important? Is because it shows you where the drain is running, where the sewage is running. Because sometimes you sell a property and they say, hey, next time you can build a swimming pool here, but below is a longkang, how you build a swimming pool? Correct. So the thing is that with a drainage interpretation plan, you can actually tell what the manhole leads to. Okay, so these are nice to know about the property before you sell it. Okay. Then, so DIP is one of them. Then there's a SIP. So drainage, one is for drainage, and obviously the other one is for sewage. Okay, drainage is for water, sewage is for your shit and urine and things like that. Right? So there are 2 different plans. So one thing about sewage interpretation plan, sometimes buyer tell you, hey, is this manhole for the drain or the sewage? This is the only way you can tell. Actually, you look at it, or you know whether it's sewage or drain. Because sometimes when you have a sewage duct there, if anything get jammed out, you open up and then smelly, that's the sewage. So sometimes it's within your house. So for the whole street, the IC point, right, which is basically the place where they were to inspect anything actually in the house itself. So some people do not like this, obviously. Okay, so these are the things to note of. These are the plans available. This one, do you need to buy it? The answer is probably not. Okay, you go there unless sometimes you see a manhole there, you want to know what it is. Out of curiosity, you can just buy this. This plan is worth $50. Okay. Okay, next. So every time now when we do landed property, there's always this objection handling. This is a new slide, just add it in, because I noticed that now people are getting spoiled. They don't like to climb up the stairs anymore. So there's always this thing when you go in a landed property, they always say that, hey, no lift, I don't want, no lift, I don't want. Then today you can counter the objection because this is an actual code for a house. And this picture is actually a house that originally didn't have a lift. Okay, and he built a lift. So there are a couple of different lifts. Okay, there is the normal lift you have in your HDBs and things like that, go up very fast, right? They are pulley system lift. So it's very fast because it's a pulley moving up and down, pulling the lift up and down. So it's very fast. Okay, however, pulley lift system, why? It is very difficult to build because it requires a trench. So if let's say there's no trench, no piling and things like that below, it's not possible to have this kind of lift because there's a lot of weight. It's very heavy, so you need piling. So that is usually only for houses that are full rebuilt. They already plan to have a lift, then you can get kind of pulley system lift. So for houses that you see and you go in and say, wow, 3.5 story, actually the older ones, no lift, wow, how? Very simple. If you can find a space in the house, all you need is a 1.5 by 1.5 meters square that you can constantly find throughout the house that doesn't have any column on top. So you look up, hey, there's no column running across. They know like maybe our office, you see that, obviously that you can't go and knock in, right? That's a staircase. But you actually look at here, okay, everything looks here okay. Then upstairs you go and look, also maybe the family area, hey, also okay. Upstairs maybe it's one room, but maybe you can get out the room, make it a family area and do. So as long as you're 1.5 by 1.5 on every floor, okay, something like this can be done, where a lift, like that you can put in a lift. So this will be a platform, or they call it hydraulic lift. So those of you who haven't seen a hydraulic lift before, it's like, one of those that they use in a condo is like the crest from the car park up to the first floor. It's very, very, very slow. You go in the lift and then essentially you press already, it goes up. Then you put your hand on the door, you stop, and you stop. So this is the platform lift. It's very slow. However, this kind of lift, they don't need a trench. They don't need a trench or a well. So it can be flat all the way up. So the platform lift, what happened? It just go in, and it, instead of something pulling you up, it's actually pushing you up. Okay, so this kind of lift over 3 floors, the glass shaft is about between 50 to 70,000, depends on the lift you actually use, or 50 to 70. That includes hacking the floor. On 2nd floor, 3rd floor, they hack the floor, they do up the lift shaft in the glass shaft and things like that. And so so is it possible? So sometimes when you see a house and lift always is an objection, or people say old people and things like that, you can get them within 50 to 70,000, you can get the lift in. Okay, and you can call them for a quotation and things like that. Okay, so this is a possibility to counter this objection for lifts. Okay, this one I touched very, very briefly, I think because it's good to know. Sometimes for landed property as well, you notice, hey, next to the landed property or in front of the property, there's actually state land. Okay, all the state land that is connected to a property can be purchased from the government. Okay, because the government is also a liability for them if there's state land outside. Because state land is looked after by the state, right? So anything happens out of that land, nobody takes care of it. So they are very open to sell. So what I go through now is that for state land, to buy it, what's the cost? People always ask you, hey, how much does it cost to buy the state land? Okay, so I'll go through this very, very quickly and briefly. So this is one example, one house they were marketing at 71 Goodman Road. Then there was some land. Okay, so this is the house here. And there's some land in front. Okay, you actually look at the E-Lito, there's land in front, right? So and when you buy the in-lease for the land, you realize it's state land. Sometimes some owners already bought already, but they never joined the land together, right? So, but you click on it, you realize it's state land. So then after, when you sell the property, they'll ask you, hey, this land in front belongs to who? Then you can say, oh, it's state land, but you can apply to buy it. Then next question is, how much? How much? You also don't know how much, right? How to know how much? So there's actually a formula to calculate how much state land costs. Okay, I do a case study. So this is a house that I'm currently marketing, 7 Chestnut Crescent. So when I look at it, there's actually a state land here. One thing about this state land is that you notice the state land is connected to 3 plots. So when you make application to buy the state land, what happens is that the government cannot be unfair to the rest. So if you are the only unit connected to it, so for example, for 71 Goodman, is in front of the house. Okay, what happened is that when you apply to buy for it, your 2 neighbors also can apply to buy it. But it's stupid lah. If the neighbors go and buy a plot of land in front, then it's stupid, right? But can they do it? The answer is yes. Have I seen it before? The answer is yes as well. Okay, so be nice to your neighbors. Okay, so the thing is that when you apply for it, any land that is connected to this land will be informed that somebody has indicated interest to buy this land. Do you have interest? Okay, so they are given 7 days to reply. So if they all don't reply or never reply, and you are the only applicant, you can buy it. However, if your neighbor, so for example, 7 Chestnut Crescent, I mentioned, if the neighbor says that he also want to buy, then what happens? Fight. You kill your neighbor, then you're only bidder, right? So essentially what happens, you tender. So you both have to submit that I want to pay this amount of money. Okay, and they take the highest tender. So it's very, very straightforward process. Okay. So there's an aerial view of what happens. So essentially with this property, there's actually a plot of land across next to it. So assuming you are the only bidder, that means the land, this one, based on this plot of land, who can have access? This guy behind? he can buy it because he share this wall, and this guy because he share this side. Okay, so you will have two parties who may be keen in this property. Okay, then subsequently, this plot of land, how much does it cost? It's very, very simple. You just go into the master plan. Okay, there's something called a development charge rate. Okay, so you go into the master plan 2014, you click on the plot of land. Okay, it will give you the plot of land, it will give you the DC rate. So obviously, you know that in the DC rate, there are use groups and the different DC that people have to pay. So B1 is for landed, not industrial B1. B1 is for landed in terms of this. Okay, and it's very simple. You just look at the plot of land was 263.5 square meters. You just times the DC rate. That's all. So that plot of land actually costs 1.22 million to buy. Okay, this is also subjected to SLA approval. Why? Because when you want to buy the land, SLA will write to all the government bodies, NParks, PUB, the LTA, make sure that nobody has a plan use for that plot of land. So if let's say SP Services here, yeah, we want to build a power station in the future, maybe, then SLA says, sorry, we can't sell the land because we already have plans for the land. Okay, so this is something to note. This calculation is as a guideline, but is most of the time if you were to buy, it will be on this rate. But no, I mean the 429 per square feet. So assuming you sell a particular plot of land, and sometimes you buy the government state land, you average it out, your per square feet actually goes down. So it becomes more attractive to buy in this instance. Okay.
It will be 99 years.
No, okay, so this is the thing. Sometimes there have been cases, I did one case last time at this Jalan Ismail. Last time it was the Metro Center. Then next to it, there's actually a very big plot of land. So what happened is that today it became a childcare. Last time it was the Metro Center. Then today somebody just bought over and then they did into a childcare. Next to it, you go past, there's actually a very big plot of land. So what happened is that we made an application to buy the plot of land. And what happened is that when they got a reply back from SLA, SLA said, okay, we can sell the land, but you need to convert your whole land title to 99 years from freehold. Okay, so they can have requirements as well. So sometimes it's not always that you buy already, no requirements. Most of the time you buy already, they're happy to give you, especially if the land is in a way, there's no specific interest to them, they're willing to sell you at freehold as well. For our development at Serangoon Gardens, later I'll share with you, we also just bought state land. The whole process took us about 6 months. We managed to buy the state land after going through a lot of trouble. Neighbor wanted to buy and things like that. But we actually have bought it before. Okay, and they sold it to us as a 999 years, same as what our land is. Okay. Okay, now we talk about redevelopment. Redevelopment, one thing to note is that the government has made some changes. Okay, so last time you notice all the new houses, first floor, if they are totally rebuilt, very, very high. First floor, 4.5, second floor, 3.6, third floor, 3.6, then attic, you can either go up to 5 meters or even higher. So that was before 2015. So after 2015, that's the reason why when you go into an area, you notice that new houses all pretty much look the same. However, after 2015, the government made it a little bit more interesting. So next time you'll see more and more crazily designed houses. Okay, the best place to actually see this is NIM Collection. They actually utilize this new concept to actually build. So you walk in the show flat NIM Collection, you notice, hey, they actually made use of the new regulations. So the new regulations now, what they did is that last time, the total allowable height, so if it's 2.5 stories, okay, the total allowable height is 13.1 meters. Okay, and for 3.5 stories, the total allowable height is 16.7 meters. Okay, so what happened, the government now is that they didn't limit per floor how high you can build. What they did is that they limit the total height. So they shorten the buildings. So now what happened is that they give you total allowable height. If the area is zone 2-story landed housing, you can build 12 meters. Up to you how many floors you want to build. You want to build 12 floors, also can. You build 1 meter per floor, also can. Okay, so the thing is that they leave it to you. They don't restrict anymore. So now the newer houses, you will not even be able to tell whether it's 2.5 story or 3.5 story anymore. So newer houses after 2015, what happens is that there's no more this restriction, 2.5 stories. You don't even need a pitched roof anymore. So you may not see that roof that connect back down anymore because there's no more this requirement to have a pitched roof. So what happens with this is that they don't care. 12 stories, 12 meters, do whatever you want. Okay, so first story can be 5 meters, 6 meters, or if you go in NIM collection, you notice that there's different segments of houses. So architects are given a chance to be more creative with the design. So what happens is this, that before the houses, okay, wait, I talk about basement later. So what happens is that this original design last time is in a 2-story zone, you can basically build 2.5, or 3-story, you can build 3.5. Next time, they don't care. You can build different stories on different height, and the creativity is up to you. Okay, then Mika just asked me about basement. One thing about basement is how deep can you go based on the zoning, as deep as your pocket can allow. Okay, so basement, there's no control. However, the government did say that they want to start controlling in the future. Maybe there's a master plan for even for underground or basement. As it is now, it's really how much the deeper you dig in, the more money you spend. Okay, so the essentially is really how much. I've seen a GCB built in Street Hill. It has 4-story, 4 basement, B4. Okay, so is it done before? The answer is yes. People also build crazy big houses with big basements. Okay. Okay, wait. The house with the big the many basements is the one with the helicopter. So that's in case. So for which one? Okay, just remember, for landed housing, the plot ratio never comes into play. It's not relevant because let's say you have a plot of land, then people ask you what's the plot ratio. If you're building, right, you just have to follow the control guidelines. The plot ratio only comes into play when you're building apartments. If not, no, it doesn't have plot ratio. It's just based on the height only. It doesn't come. Plot ratio only comes into play if you are redeveloping from half into 1. If not, the plot ratio doesn't come into play at all. It is built on the guidelines. So if there's 2.5 story, you can build up to the maximum 2.5 story. Later you can clarify. You can let me know what you saw in NIM collection. Yes. Correct. Correct. That's right. But having said this, okay, so sometimes people ask you, how much can I build? It's very simple because you can actually count because there are certain guidelines. Setback from the road is already 8 meters already, right? 7.5 to 8 meters. So if you were to build up, then the second story generally has to be set back. You notice the sides always usually set back 1 meter. So with that alone, you can actually count up first floor, second floor, third floor, the total size you can actually build up. Okay, so that's 1-to-1. That means you build up, when people ask you what's the plot ratio, it doesn't really come into play anymore for landed housing unless you were to do redevelopment. Okay? Yes. Yes, okay, for that, that's correct. In this instance, why? Because NIM collection, what did the developer do? They rebuild. Okay, when they rebuild, what happened is that they have to comply to the baseline plot ratio. So this is something where for developers, when they build, different areas have different baseline plot ratio. That's why sometimes you go in, for example, Loyang Villas. Those of you who've been in Loyang Villas, you walk into all the units, there's always this void. And then after people say, can I cover it up? You can't cover it up within the first 3 years simply because the developer didn't pay the DC. So if they want to cover the void, they have to pay the extra development charge. So in that instance, for redeveloped new units of subdivided units, so NIM collection is basically one plot of land, they subdivided into many houses. So they have a plot ratio to comply to. Total plot ratio. Correct. However, if there's a new owner who bought over the plot of land, okay, and after 3 years, he tear down and rebuild, there's no more plot ratio, he can build up to maximum, whatever he wants to build. So this is the URA guideline. No, yes, in NIM collection, the void area is why it's because the developer try and save on DC. You always see this for new plots of new properties. Sometimes the developer build a house, wow, why so small? Everything why so small? It's because the developer want to save the DC. They don't want to pay the DC. Okay, so this DC figure is only applicable for developers. It's not applicable for end users who buy and build a 1-to-1. There's no DC. However, in that instance, the architect brief you all for NIM collection, right? The architect brief you all that the void area cannot cover up because there's no more allowable plot ratio. because the developer didn't pay for the DC. But however, if the buyer wants to cover it up, he can pay for the DC.
3 years later, he can just cover up.
3 years later, he can cover up. He can apply to cover up without paying for DC. He can do an A&A without paying for DC. Okay, so this is the regulations. Okay. Okay, just to touch a little bit. SRI on our end also we do developments as well. Okay, so we do a lot of development. So if you have a good plot of land and you want to find a buyer and there's nobody want to buy, we are already buyers. So we can even buy even today with the additional tax and things like that. We are also still looking out for land. So if you actually see our last time SRI 5,000 developments, we rebranded into 5K projects. So this time you may see it. And we have done quite a few developments. And we have one upcoming landed project. So this one also, we also try and save. If you ask us, we also try and save. We also cut areas to save on the DC. Yes. So it basically costs, if you actually, we run back to the screen, then the DC, so every square meter costs you 4,620 in this location. So if let's say, based on your question, right, for NIM collection, it's possible to pay. You want to pay, you have to go and find out what's the DC rate for District 28 for the NIM area. Then based on how much he wants to add, the amount of square footage you want to add, he can pay the DC. After 3 years. Yes, don't have to pay DC. Okay. So back into this, just to share with you, we are waiting for approval for sales for our development in Serangoon Gardens. So we are building 5 units. So it's 2. This was originally 1 semi-D. Okay, so but the very, very big semi-D, very wide frontage. So what we actually did is we bought the plot of land. There was actually a plot of land. This was actually a plot of land that was state land. So we actually bought this plot of land behind that was connected to another unit. And we connected together and then we are building a total of 5 units. Okay, so you have landed buyers. Yeah, you can take note that within the next, depending on how long URA gives us our license, then we can actually start selling this as well. Okay, so just take note of this. Okay, this is my, just to share, this is my favorite article, especially for landed. This article is very good to convince buyer to pay the premium for good land. So the thing about landed, there are only about 60,000+ landed properties in Singapore, of which if you ask me really, really good plots of land, probably about 20 to 25,000 are good plots of land. The rest of them are either odd shape, or they are in non-preferred locations, or they are next to main road. So you minus off all these main road properties, T junction, and really good plots of land, you're probably looking at 20,000+ good plots of land. Okay, so essentially, sometimes you have to make the buyer say, hey, that unit sell this per square feet. Why I have to pay extra $200 per square feet for this plot of land? I want to pay the same price. This is why, because buying landed is like buying art. Art pieces, there are so many art pieces, but really, really good and priced art pieces, there are only that few. And people are paying the premium for it because there's only one of its kind. Same thing for landed. Today you don't buy this plot, you lose it. There's no more already, because this plot is this plot. That's it. So you can buy other plots, but it may not have the same qualities as this plot. So I love this article because it actually shows you that for premium land, okay, the title is very nice. Buying land is like buying art. Like scarce artworks, they do not yield significant recurring cash flow, but offer capital appreciation. This same thing occurs for shop houses. The shop houses, the prices are just going through the roof. Why? Because this shop house, the history behind it, the heritage behind it, it cannot be replaced. It's the same like art. Okay, so this article is very good to convince buyers to pay that slight premium. Yeah, your question? Mm-hmm. Okay, one thing about valuation for landed, why I love landed property is because you can call 3-4 different banks, the valuation can be a difference up to 1 million or so. Why? Because what happens is that as long as valuers can justify the price, why this property fetches this price, they match the valuation. Then banks who are more conservative saw, hey, there's a per square feet price transacted this low. So they match this price. Versus some banks say, oh, you have a new unit, and because your unit, there are certain factors that they cannot see. Like for example, this is a elevated land versus a depressed land. Maybe depressed 2-story, you build up already, you can only see the roof. There are houses like this as well. Okay, but what happens is that these houses are obviously worth lesser than a house that is already 2 stories above ground. So these are factors that are not taken into account during valuation when you go out the bank. So one thing nice about valuation is that the actual valuation can differ a very, very big range. Assuming you are the best unit in the area, brand new, best. So the building cost itself already will command a certain amount. So let's say the guy told you he spent 2 million to build. So you take that off, what's the land value today? A nearby old unit of similar land characteristic, maybe sold at $1,000 per square feet. So you know my land value is 1,000. Then the guy, he built a new house that he spent $2 million to build. So with that, actually you combine it up, you can see, hey, what's the per square feet difference? So you can roughly do a calculation of the cost of or at least the valuation. So one thing nice about valuation is that you don't go and base on what the bank gives you. Sometimes the bankers give a certain valuation, I will question it and say, hey, I'm sure you can match another 300,000 more because of these certain qualities of the land, because this unit was recently renovated and things like that. You can definitely fight for a higher valuation and it's still justifiable. Okay? Yeah. Yes, for landed, do you get a valuer? The answer is yes. Okay, valuers, however, most of the landed valuers as well, what happened? In Singapore, valuers, they usually do the comparative method. They compare nearby transactions. So the valuation also can be one very, very big range. So valuation just used as a general guideline more than the actual value. That's one thing I like about landed, is where the salesperson really come into play to sell the house based on the perceived value. Okay? Okay, I'd like to share a little bit. So obviously, those of you who are in office, you see a lot of landed houses here. Some of you want to know, hey, how do I get my landed houses here? You can just, sorry, you can just email. So this is something, I would say that this is a selling point of one thing about SRI. You can use this as compared with another agent out there who's trying to pitch for exclusive. Hey, we have a landed exhibition. You can come out to our exhibition hall at Tiong Bahru. Okay, it will be featured in the exhibition. Do buyers come in and see? The answer is yes. Sometimes you see agents, they actually bring some buyers in to actually look at the listings on the wall. So if you want to feature your landed listing as well, just email to design@sri.sg. Okay, let them know the district and things like that. We'll find a place to put in the landed listings. Okay, I think occasionally we actually refresh it a little bit. Some of the landed listings are all recently added in. Okay. This is mainly a selling point when you want to pitch for exclusive. You can feature your property in the exhibition. Okay, next, I want to touch a little bit in terms of the competitors and their operations. Okay, some of the landed competitors, for example, most of you have heard of Realstar. Okay, Realstar, they only do landed housing. So for them, their operation is what? They work in a company takes 50% of the commission. So they work on a lister buyer model. So what happens is that their operation is very simple. They essentially, if they know of a new listing in the market, tomorrow they will actually go and look for the owners already. And then all the listings belongs to the companies. The company owns all the listings, okay, for them. So you may see them all out and about everywhere and closing a lot of deals, but essentially the agents are not earning as much as our agents, okay? Because essentially you close the deal, all the money is yours. So there are different models. So there are some teams out there as well. Like for example, last time there was a very strong team, 7772. Okay, last time they're ECG, then I think now they're in Century 21. That was previously a very strong landed team. They will have a similar operating model like this as well. Then of course, powerful negotiators, the strong teams is probably like Andy Cheng, all this, but their model is also different. They do more a teamwork model where effectively after you close a deal, you only take a percentage of the commission. So you're effectively better off working on your own and earning all the full comp for yourself rather than dividing into several layers and things like that. So the landed agents that you need to know for the various districts, okay, at 9, 10, 11, you know, the strong ones is Realstar, then there is APPC. Okay, for those who know APPC, last time is Bungalow King, right? Then Michael French, then he ended up opening APPC. Then you look at all the big ads that are being posted. You want to know who are the players, very simple. Just go into the papers, you open up, all the people doing big ads consistently are generally all the big players, right? So there's KH Tan. So KH Tan is for Newsman Realty. So 9, 10, 11, then you go into District 19. Okay, then obviously you have people like Ben Chiang and Jasmine. Okay, you can always see them advertising. Then you go in District 19 and see Andy Cheng. He's always around the area as well. So District 19, and then you have the ECG group. They're not ECG, sorry, the Century 21. Okay, the 7772 group as well. They are there. Then in D15, the strong players are like Tim Xiao. You can always see him there. Realstar is also very active in D15. So these players why you need to know them is because they know the landed game. So when you list up the listing, they will definitely go and look for the owners for your listings. So at least you need to be aware that these are the strong competitors in the area. Okay, so if let's say you want to do some landed, I can tell you that our presence is very strong in District 15. Okay, in District 9, 10, 11, our presence is also very strong. In District 20, so District 20 have people like Ken Tan, a lot of nice home guru, right? So these are competitors. So I feel that for us, areas that still have a lot of growth potential is like District 19. I feel like District 19 has a lot of growth potential because there's a lot of transactions. If you ask me which are the top transacting landed districts, who can make a guess? Number one is actually District 19. 19 has the most transaction and has consistently been the most transactions for many, many, many years already. Second position is District 15. Okay, then followed by 9, 10, 11. Okay, so this is actually the number of transactions happening every month. So if you go and work in a district like maybe 27, Sembawang, okay, and you may be the best agent but taking on the slowest product. So what happens? Do you know in District 7, every month there's like a few transactions only. Maybe you've got a new launch, then you maybe see more transactions. If not, you really every month is just a few resale transactions. And if you have 10 agents fighting for that one deal, then only one person is going to be happy that whole month, right? Or two. If you send 2 caveats, there are 10 agents, obviously there's only 2 chances. However, if you go in like this District 19, every month there are like 20 to 30 caveats. For you to get that one sale done is higher chance, right? Okay, so this is the thing to take note of. So this is just a general discussion about competition. If you decide to embark on a landed career, then maybe you can kind of talk to me. Then I can give you suggestions on which area to do, rather than everybody all cluster into one particular district, okay, and then fighting within the same buy. There are a lot of other districts that actually have opportunities as well. So formula for success, as I mentioned, to close up, is having a listing inventory and a consistent flow of buyers. So this can only, the consistent flow of buyers can only come in when you have a very, very good inflow of, your marketing is out there and you get a very good inflow of buyers, okay? Okay, so with that, we come to an end already. This is a very, very brief, I would say brief summary, outline summary of the landed project market. So I hope all of you have learned something today. For those of you who want to go deeper and to more knowledge and things like that, like for example, treasure hunting for units, how to treasure hunt, this kind of stuff, I rather take it offline because some of the things, of course, you know, the landed market, a lot of people do a lot of things that are unorthodox. So I do not want to be the one to go and mention all this, and there are other people listening up. So if let's say you want to go into that, then we probably can meet separately and let you know how this is being done. Okay, any questions? No questions?